deep down, there was always, spurring from the beginning of our relationship that I will get into in a moment, there was always reservations that I had. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna marry him. Oh yeah, he's my person. Oh yeah. I didn't really feel that. I didn't really feel that, but I was telling myself that because I wanted it to be true. And I didn't want to date anymore. I didn't want to be single. I didn't want to be alone because I didn't love myself enough at the time to not be scared to be alone. And so I was holding on to something that wasn't right for me because I was too scared to just be with myself.
Welcome to this week's interview on the Hotter Than Health podcast. We have the lovely Brittany Carden on, and I have known Brittany for over 7 years. We met in Charleston years and years ago, and she has been the most entertaining, bright light. Not only is she gorgeous, but she's hilarious, she is bold, she's creative, and she's just somebody that brings great energy. I think you all will love this episode. We talk all about her digital studio, how she went from working for other people to realizing that wasn't a good fit for her, to figuring out how she can create a digital studio of yoga, bar, sculpt classes, all to incredible music, which is really where we get to towards the end of this episode, or really to part two. But we're also going to talk about all things weight loss. We're going to talk all about realizations in relationships. We talk about working with friends. We talk about feeling physically and mentally well within your body. We really also want to talk about how to get back to center after going through a lot of life trauma and how we can find ourselves within a lot of pain and trials throughout our life. She does a great job of telling her story in a way that is relatable and entertaining, and we all know that it comes full story, otherwise we wouldn't, or full circle, otherwise we wouldn't have had her story on the podcast. But we truly had such a great, raw, real, open book conversation talking about stress, business, starting a business with zero money, weight gain and weight loss. We talk about COVID. We talk about heartbreak, and Brittany just really lets it all out here. And I'm so grateful for her for just being so honest and talking about topics that I don't think that she has shared on other podcasts or with other people. We're going to get into all things great and Brittany on this episode, but make sure you are following along because we have part 2 coming next week. Part 2, we talk all about conspiracy theories. We talk about different supplements and products and day-to-day, more of that tangible takeaway. And really, this is just the story behind all of her biggest life transformations. You all will love this, and if you want to follow along on Brittany's life and all of her virtual classes in her digital studio, you can follow Brittany at Brittany Carden on Instagram. I'm going to have that in the show notes. But again, thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this. I know you will, just as much as I enjoyed interviewing her. But welcome to the welcome to the podcast. On Hotter Than Health, we have Brittany Carden. You guys, I was just telling Brittany here that I'm levitating. I'm like vibrating in my seat, about to come out of my skin because this is just already on the phone before we started recording a very electric conversation, and there's going to be a lot of different directions, a lot of different value, and like a lot of big stuff. Okay. Brittany Carden, welcome to Hotter Than Health. Hello.
Oh my God. Hi. I'm so excited to be here. And I'm just so grateful that you asked me to come on.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe that I haven't asked you sooner. I feel like everything is such divine timing and I trust it. And you are in such a strong, fun, happy place. This is the best time to do it. People have heard a little bit about how we met, so we don't have to go into that whole story. We can more later, and all of those parallels will trickle in. We want to start from the very beginning because I already know that this is going to have to be a part 1, 2, 3 series. Like we have to get there. So, but first, Brittany, take us back to little Brittany. Have you always had the entrepreneurial spirit, the, slightly against the grain, and then we'll get into fitness and health.
Oh my God. Yeah. I never liked to listen. I don't like being told what to do. So I could have gone off on a whole tangent there, but I'm not going to stay in my lane. No, I think like, yeah, ever since I was little, I never wanted to be put in a box. Like I always wanted to define my own borders. And don't get me wrong, there's times where I definitely doubted myself or definitely tried to fit in someone else's box or the boxes that society lays out for us. But each time I would just get kicked out one way or the other. And I would always kind of find myself back on the path of entrepreneurship. And finally, I'm definitely going to fail again and again and again and again. But now I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not meant to listen to someone else. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
meant to like the little girl in me always knew.
How
But
were
it's
you
just,
in school? Like what kind of kid were you in school growing up?
um, I mean, I always wanted to get good grades. Did I always get good grades? I wasn't like the smartest kid in the class. I was decent. But I was pretty well behaved. I had a mouth on me though. I had a mouth. Are we surprised? No, I curse like a sailor. Then now,
Some things never change.
something's never changed. But I was decently well behaved, but I just literally, if I always, if I didn't want to do something, I just didn't want to fucking do it. And sometimes I would struggle with no, where I really, really, really wanted to say no, or it was like a fuck no in my body. But in hindsight, it's always 2020, where you look back and you're like, damn, that was a no, that was a no, that was a no, that was a no. But I said yes and betrayed myself. Definitely younger, I didn't exercise no as much as internally. It was screaming at me. And now no is my most valuable weapon. It's
Mm.
used all the time. And yeah, that's definitely something that has grown as I have grown.
Isn't it so crazy that when you get older, you can physically feel your gut, or if you want to call it the Holy Spirit, the gut, the universe saying like, don't do something. And we always had that when we were younger, but we couldn't verbalize it. We couldn't vocalize it, but our bodies always knew. And little kids have better intuition and creativity than anybody. So the fact that we're not listening to kids about about certain things is so funny. That's really interesting
Wait,
because,
do you
sorry,
know, sorry, I did not want to cut you off. Do you
no,
know about the body exercise that's like show me what a yes feels like, show me what a no feels like?
let's go. No.
So that is something. I'm in therapy, by the way. And I call her my witch doctor. She's like amazing. She does energy work, all this stuff. She has helped me infinitely. But one of the things is because I feel like I fell so far away from my intuition, especially like as we get older, as we think we need to go this certain routes, like we need to get a job, we need to go to school, we need to get a job, we need to do this, we need to go into business because our parents said we need to, blah, 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 blah. It just disconnects ourselves from ourselves. And so, one of the most common exercises that she gave me that I swear to God I use on a daily basis, and it has not failed me once, is you check in with your body, put like one hand on your heart, one hand on your stomach, whatever. You just find some solidarity on your body and you be in a room alone and you say to your body, show me what a yes feels like. It shows up. And then you say, show me what a no feels like. You can't mistake it. You can't mistake it.
Wait, can you
Uh,
give an example of what a yes has felt like for you when it was unmistakable and what a no felt like for you?
yes. So a yes, when I say show me what a yes feels like, it feels like my body is being thrown forward to the point that I trip sometimes.
Mm.
Um, and when I've done this in the shower, because I do it everywhere, it's not great sometimes because I've actually fallen once in the shower. And
Yes.
then no is your body being thrown backwards. And it is so wild. I've used this with men. I've used this with friendships. I've used this with career opportunities. It has never failed me once. You have to ask your body the yes or no question. But
Mm.
once you kind of know what that feeling looks like, I will use it as something as simple as, oh, should I get sushi tonight? Or, because you never know, like something's telling me to go get sushi, like maybe you might meet someone, it's like all that divine timing, divine intervention. But I'll use it, as like, should I open myself up to this opportunity? Should I attend this X? Is this person important enough in my life? Things that, like, asking myself outright, sometimes the answer wouldn't be so crystal clear. But I swear, Eliza, every single time I do this, my body knows and it shows me and it does not lie. So I can't
That's
recommend it enough.
amazing. No, I like that exercise, and that's something that we can do right now because there really is that clear feeling of maybe it doesn't have to make sense, but there are those feelings where we've all had that feeling of, like you said, being thrust forward, pulled forward, but then you you mistake the feeling of just staying, being not going in any direction, and then the resistance. Like resistance can feel so heavy, and that means maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's not for you right now. Even
Yeah.
if it seems like the quote unquote right thing to do, maybe it's just not right now. Just like this interview, we have known each other for so many years, never done this podcast, even though there's been so many opportunities, alignment, but like, let's wait until we moved across the country from each other to do it over Zoom. It just makes all,
But right now, it makes so much sense. I can't explain why, but it just makes sense that we're doing it now. Divine timing, man.
I couldn't agree more. So that was you when you were younger, is really just figuring out like you always knew in your body that you were meant to do something in your own lane. You were meant to do something just a little bit farther away from the bell curve. Like you not be to be compared to anybody else really, which led you to being more in the fitness and wellness space. So talk to me about really how you ended up here through your fitness and weight loss and health journey, because I know there have been different components to it. There's been like hit into yoga, weight loss into whole foods and stress. You've had a lot of different components in your health. Talk to us about when you started realizing, hey, it's really important for me to get my physical body into alignment.
100%. The first thing that I will say is, especially what I just went through the last 6 months, which we can talk about later.
Oh yeah, we're
uh,
going to.
Stress is the cause of all dis-ease in the body. Like, it is stress. Everything is stress. Um, Even sometimes, and like this could be a controversial opinion, but I think even if people say, oh, it's genetic, like, oh, it's hereditary, like that's the loaded gun. Stress pulls the trigger,
Oh,
you know?
couldn't agree more.
And hindsight again, I don't know how many times I'll say this, is 2020. And so probably like when I first started out in the fitness space, I started out pure bar instructor. Um, I always was concerned with my weight. I was always hyper aware of it. I have a mom I love you, mom. She's an almond mom. She's, she's a little 90-pound blonde fitness instructor. The reason I'm so good at music is because she was an aerobics instructor. She would count her beats and do all her beats while I was in her belly and like
Oh,
touch her belly like as she did it. I'm like, that's why I can count music so well. Um, and but I never really I didn't really know what healthy was. Like, even though I started out in the fitness space, pretty early on, and I was teaching group fitness, and then I would got my CPT and blah 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 blah. They don't really teach you health. You know, Health is something that I had to really figure out through COVID.
mm,
COVID was the worst time of my whole entire life. Every single thing that I was familiar with got stripped from me. Social interaction. Hello, you were a group fitness instructor too. Community, connection, everything got stripped from me. My ability to make money. I moved to a new city. I moved out of Charleston in Charlotte. And I'm going to be really raw and real. I gained like 75 pounds at that time. Like, I was heavy. I was heavy. I still haven't shown anyone a picture of me at that time. I was working on a virtual space with my ex-business partner, ex-friend at the time. And I became so depressed. I
mm.
was so depressed. I was like binge eating. I was always just relatively healthy because I had good genes, quote unquote. I worked out a lot, but I never had any sense of hormone balance. I never had any sense of like my hormones. Prior to that, I lost my period for 2 years because I was like under eating and overworking out, and I just didn't know what health was. Fast forward to when I was depressed, I gained 75 pounds and I was like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is happening to me? And I realized I had no tools in my toolbox. I didn't even know like what healthy was. And I knew something was off. I still wasn't getting my period. So I reached out to this functional medicine doctor. And that was really, so this is like 2020. Um, we did everything virtually, but that's when I really started to learn about health and like what it means to be healthy and how, again, another tangent pathway, but how like everything that we are taught is so not the real pathway to the epicenter of health. And I worked with
What are just like examples of things that we're taught? Do you mean like calories and macros and
just like how women should work out to their cycle or how like our hormones are meant to be like different than men's and how we're supposed to do things differently and how we're supposed to look at ingredients and
sleep?
sleep and stress management and everything that you should be taught in your health class in school, you're just never taught. I was never taught stress management. I was never taught hormones and clean eating and limiting environmental exposures and toxin exposures. I was never taught how to track my cycle, ovulation. What
Mhm.
is my body saying to me? I wasn't even taught how to like identify inflammation. And I was just like, oh, I just look weird today.
You're
Like,
like, I
what?
gained 75 pounds, but I don't think it's inflammation. I'm like, and I'm not to laugh, but like it's just
Yeah.
sometimes we're literally looking at the symptoms in our face, like it's in our face, and we still can't put it together. Can I scroll back slightly? You said
Yeah.
that it was 2020, you had gained 75 pounds, and for people who haven't met Brittany, you're about my height. We are like 5'6", 5'7".
No,
And
I'm 5'3".
what? See,
I'm 5'3".
I just think of you as like this long person. I've been around you so many times. I guess I didn't even think about it. Well, here we are, best friends. Okay, so you're 5'3", and that's not a little bit of weight for someone who's 5'3", and in that period of time. So were you still working out and just eating more? Like what was your lifestyle at that point when you started to realize your body change?
Um, I was kind of working out this one studio in Charlotte that I was going to for classes. I enjoyed it enough to like keep going because nothing was open, right? So I would do that a few times a week. I was walking a little bit, but a lot of the time I was stagnant. Like I was
Hmm.
so in my routine, and it also shed light on the fact that like okay, I was going to like some group fitness classes. I wasn't going ham on them, but I was like, doing enough and walking enough, but it was my diet. It was my diet. It was everything I was consuming because like everything with COVID, it was like so fear-based, like everything. I was in a constant state of fight or flight, not just because of I was overwhelming my body with like bad food, but also just negative energy from everything that was going on around me.
Yeah.
And Charlotte at that time was so shut down and it was like a ghost town. And just being in that energy in that point in time in Charlotte, I was like, oh my God, like it was too much. So even though I was still kind of working out, it was mainly that I was coping with all the stress I was feeling
Mm,
during that time in my life because it was especially hard for me, for people like us. I know you felt it too. I was coping with it with food. And I didn't have, like I said, the tools to like get myself to crawl back out of the
sure.
hole.
And that's sometimes all you can do. It's like sometimes crawling, even though it's 1 centimeter at a time, that's progress. And sometimes just pausing the current things that you are doing that you know are detrimental, even if you're not necessarily replacing them with good things yet. Maybe you're like, whatever, you're eating Taco Bell every single night, but then even if you're not replacing it with like salads and grilled chicken and whatever is quote unquote healthy, even just pausing those habits
Yeah,
is
100%.
progress. Some people think they need to automatically change everything, but it's not like that. You sometimes pausing is just not going backwards is progress. Like sometimes that's
Yeah.
all we need.
Yes. And then just even l- educating yourself, like not even eliminating, not even adding anything, just beginning to educate. You're like, wait a minute,
Hmm.
this is this. Wait a minute, I'm feeling all of these things. Like this is a whole other perspective, a whole other realm of thinking that I never even realized that I have been like just blind to. And then knowledge is power. Like
Yeah.
once you're kind of equipped with that, you begin to slowly, sometimes subconsciously, change your choices.
You
And
can't
then
unsee that. You can't unlearn that education. It's like as soon as you lift the veil a little bit, you really can't unsee it. And that was something that I think a lot of people learned during the pandemic. They're saying, hey, okay, we're trying to keep everyone as healthy as possible, but don't stay out, don't go outside, don't do all the things that quote unquote would make you healthy. So the whole thing was really, really a tough thing. It was a tough proverbial pill for people to swallow,
mhm.
which is, I know, a big topic that has come up with you and with that whole period of time. But something that I noticed what you just said, it was 2020 and you had gained 75 pounds. And what I know for a fact, if that, Brittany, okay, talk about divine timing. If that had happened to you 2 years ago instead of four, or if that had happened to you in 2023 instead of 2020, it would have been Ozempic was the cure,
Uh-huh.
as opposed to stocking your toolbox. Like,
Thank
and I'm not
God.
saying that that's a bad thing. Like, if some people, this is not like my stance on Ozempic, but what you learned from that situation became your business, it became your life, it became every conversation you had, it became everything. So,
Mhm.
just the divine timing of that heartbreak, of that struggle for you created your whole life, your whole platform.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I had to go through that. I'm so thankful. I mean, at the time, talk about self-loathing, talk about like depression, talk about like all of the bottom of the rock of the bottom of the rock. But thank God, because if I didn't go through that, it's literally like the rain makes the flowers, you know? And
You got this.
I would never, like, I would not know, I wouldn't have the health and the body that I do today. And I wouldn't know what I now know that is, that it's what I share with people through fitness, through like health and wellness, through like I do really believe in 80/20, through 80/20. And
Sure.
I think I would have a lot of different viewpoints politically. I think I would have a lot of different viewpoints, um, just from so many different perspectives in my life if I didn't have the experience that I had. But it was my experience and I
Yeah.
went with it. So, you
And
know,
it's really something that it it really did mold you into this version of you that is more connected with people, which is our purpose on this earth is to just like help people, be kind to people, and get them to feel good. Like you just want people to feel good. And once you get to the point of feeling good, that's all you want for other people. You're like, you can do it too. There's no excuses. Speaking of excuses, okay. What?
the last thing to say
Oh, yes.
about like the weight gain, because I know that like it's such a hot topic now. And now, everyone, yeah, we have Ozempic and we have like all that stuff now, but it is still, I don't care what year it is weight and how we perceive ourselves and we, how healthy, quote unquote, we are, which is often judged by like the amount of fat that we have on our bodies. One thing that really, really stuck with me that my mom actually told me that when I was like healing kind of, and like, because I went back to go live with her anyway, um, the body is a physical manifestation of your mind. It's
Mm.
it's so true. It's so true in every single way, shape, and form. So I just want to offer that, like, to anybody that might have some physical, like you look in the mirror and you're just like, fuck, or you are struggling where to begin, or where to, or why. Like, why is this happening to me? Like, why this, why that? Why am I craving sugar? Why am I craving this food? Like, why is my body showing up this way? What's going on in your mind? Like, are you aware of like the thought patterns that you have every single day and how you're speaking to yourself? It really all starts there.
And the people you're surrounding yourself and the social media that you're consuming, it's so true. The what you just mentioned, I'd love for you to offer for someone who is wanting to kickstart any type of weight, not even just weight loss, but health journey, like, hey, I just don't feel good. Maybe it's like cystic acne. Maybe it is weight loss. Maybe it's muscles. Maybe you just had whatever it is. What if someone's starting off their journey and they are in the pits? Like motivation's not a thing. It's not about motivation. How would you recommend someone start? What'd
I
you
would
do?
say find something that brings you joy. That is, find something good for you that brings you joy. It is one of the reasons that I teach yoga the way that I do, that I teach my fitness classes the way that I do. If you are not having fun with something, you will never be consistent with it. And if you don't enjoy the process, if it doesn't bring you joy in some capacity, you'll never be consistent with it. So find one thing, whether that's reading that's taking you away from maybe like binge eating, go read a book, go read and walk on the treadmill. Find something, find a yoga class that bumps really, really awesome music that you
Mm-hmm.
love, teacher that like you vibe with. Find something that brings you joy that you can be consistent with that is going to begin to start this trickle effect of good, healthy habits
Like
and
find
make,
your fitness gateway drug.
yes, yes, find your health gateway drug. And it
Love
has
it.
to bring you joy. That's like the number one thing. And then it will never, it's like you can't unsee it. You're not going to unjoy it, you know?
Dang, wisdom with Brittany. Enjoy. That's no,
Unjoy.
that's amazing. And that is really sound advice because I know it's coming from a real place. And that is why you do beat-based fitness now. It's not like a normal yoga class. People are like, "Oh, yoga, I'm not flexible, I'm not limber, I don't like hot," or whatever the thing is. It's like as soon as you get a good song on, no matter what workout you're doing, you're like, "Okay, fine, I'm gonna look a little bit hype," which I do want to get into. But the next thing I wanted to talk about because it would be remiss of me to not bring this up. So, I do want to get into business again. We'll circle back to business, but relationships. There were
Yes.
two big relationships that I have seen in your life that have really, I guess, bookended like a really crazy 5 years. One being a friendship breakup,
Hmm.
the second being a breakup, a romantic breakup.
Yeah.
Two very different experiences, but that are really, really, really challenging.
Yeah.
You started your first business before you started into beat-based fitness. You started it with a friend who you knew for a long time. You met in Charleston. When did you start to realize? Can you talk about that? Can you just speak on that without, you don't have to get into crazy details, but like, what was that experience like for you? And can you give people a high level of what happened and then what you learned from it?
100%. So yeah, at the time, she was one of my best friends. Do not mix business and friendships. I learned that the hard way. Please put it in the show notes. Do not mix business and friendships. It will go awry.
Unless
And
you were not friends, then you got into business and then became friends. Only
yes,
caveat.
agreed. Yeah, so we we were really good friends, and it
In
seemed like
Charleston.
in Charleston, we were working at the same fitness studio, and we, ended up leaving the fitness studio, doing the whole virtual thing because it was COVID. It was like the thing to do. And our platform was really kicking off. Like, we had a really good number of subscribers. And when the fitness studio started to open back up, we were just kind of like, we can do better. So we went off and did that on our own. And basically, we're talking high level. Long story short, most details, omitted. I can get into them if you want me to, but basically, what made our subscription and what made our business thrive so much was the energy that me and her had. Friendships, like we were a vibe, and she started dating someone, and here. Like this was a time where I was the worst version of myself. I was like gaining all this weight. I hated being on camera. I was so sad during COVID. I didn't have no tools in my toolbox to like make me happy and normal Brittany again. So I was a really bad version of myself. She was not a great version of herself. And then she started seeing this guy, and we were on two completely different pathways. On camera, it started to show up that we were just drifting. Like we were not connecting anymore. And there was lots of things that kind of happened between us in our personal lives. And eventually it was like, so now we're dreading coming together to like film. And it eventually, like I said, I moved back home and stayed with my mom for a little bit because I needed my mom to just love me. Like I was so, like I said, rock bottom. And I was like, I just need to heal. I just need to be with my mom and go home for a little bit. And she was kind enough to say, I got this. I'll do the videos, blah, 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 blah. And then we kind of, you can't ever force anything. You can't ever force anything. We tried to like force our friendship back together after that. And we got an Airbnb in Charleston. This was in 2021. And we were living there together just to like get out of Charlotte and try this whole new thing to do, like new subscriptions, like new idea for our business. And we just, none of us like wanted to do it. And it got to the point that things happened in her relationship with her boyfriend at the time. And, you know, we just changed so much as people that it got to the point where we would avoid each other. Like I didn't want to be there if she was there, she didn't want to be there if I was there, and we
I
just
remember it got bad.
got really bad, and we just didn't want to film together. We didn't want to look at each other. It was so awkward. We didn't want to talk to each other. I was being judgy about the shit she was doing. I'm sure she was judging me about the shit that I was doing, and just so much passive aggression because neither of us were good communicators. Too. That's another thing. It was not totally on her. I just didn't know how to communicate. And that's something I've always struggled in. Even in my romantic relationship, I've always been, confrontation's always been really hard for me,
Which
and
builds resentment.
huge resentment. And it got to just this breaking point where she left me a note on the table one day. We completely just dissolved our platform. Actually, I think she ended up taking she ended up taking something, and then it was just over and done with. I think she might have still had control of it. It was over and done with. She left me a note on the table, and we did not speak to each other since then. And it
Wait,
was
you
like
have not spoken since 2021.
until a couple months ago. Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Which
I'm
like that
picture
was such a weight off my heart. Like I am so glad we've spoken. I have nothing but respect and kindness and good faith and good energy toward her. We actually had a really nice conversation. I think it was a little maybe back in August. She reached out to me, and
wild.
yeah, yeah. And we had a really nice conversation. She's doing well. I'm so happy that she's doing well. And it was such a weight. I carried that weight. She was my best friend.
Well, it's
you
also
know?
just like it's drama, it's judgment, it's resentment, it's you're right or you're wrong, I'm right on both sides, and there's stubbornness, and then there's all of these cycles of thoughts that go on in our head over and over and over until they're interrupted. They just are going to stay. And so that's what you're left with. And it's also on a public platform. People in Charleston, especially during COVID, everyone knows each other's business. Everyone knows which trainers are leaving which gyms to go start their own thing. Everyone knows, oh, well, there's this drama, there's this drama. Like we had it in our gym. I totally get it. And I love that you guys put a nice little bow on your relationship. That's beautiful.
But
Congratulations.
I will say now it didn't work because I didn't know then about myself what I know about myself now. I need to be on my own. I don't want to be, I don't want to listen to anyone. I
Well,
said
maybe
this in
you
the
just
beginning.
need to lead. Maybe you just need to lead.
Yes. I don't want to listen to anyone. I I do so much better on my own. And now I would approach, if I was ever going to be given an opportunity for a business partnership, I would approach it the same exact way that I would now approach a romantic partnership. As in, what are my strengths? What are your strengths? Like, what are your weaknesses? How do we complement each other? How do we work well together? Do we align on the things that we need to align on? We were just like, oh, we're friends. This can work. We'll just go into business together. Fuck no. No, sometimes the best of friends make the worst of partners because it takes a certain complement of skills and of personalities and of values
Yeah.
and ethics. And
And then you have expectations that are unmet, and then it builds this other like shoulda, woulda, coulda, and
yeah.
that bleeds on. But you said something and you've said it twice now, and I just want to give you a little more credit here. You said, I don't listen. Like I'm not a listener. I don't like to listen to people. You actually very much do. And you liked it, but you actually have to just ask for it. Like if you're asked for it or if you understand where it's coming from, I actually think you're a great listener because you just taught us the whole hand on chest. What is yes feel like? What does no feel like? And you learned that and listened to, I bet when your therapist talks, you are like lip zip, just writing everything down, listening. So you do like to listen. It just seems like you just are stubborn and you like to ask for the advice. You're like, don't give me solicited advice. I'm the same
Yes.
way.
Yes. Yes. And I love to learn. I love to learn. So if the setting is conducive, like I don't want to be told what to do. It's not really that like I'm
Like it
about to,
has to be your choice.
yes, I have to consent.
Okay. Which leads us into the next relationship. Speaking of not listening and
Okay.
relationships.
Oh.
Okay. Here's what I know is that you and I hadn't seen you because we both moved away. I thought I saw you were living not living in a van, but you were like living road trip life with your awesome boyfriend, best friend. It looked like as a bystander,
Mhm.
got a dog. Starting to work in yoga, doing your own thing, getting your yoga teacher training, like in this relationship for years. And it looked so healthy and stable and happy. And maybe it was. But then all of the sudden, I'm like, why is Brittany crying on Instagram? Like, what? What is the deal? I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry, but I was like, oh my, that is how much it shook me because I thought there's been something earth-shattering. With as much or as little detail as possible, I know that that was a big deal and you spoke about it on social media. Can you tell us a little bit about your romantic relationship and like what you learned from that and high or low level what all happened? Because I was shooketh to my core.
Yeah.
And so, we'll go to the next link in like 1 minute and 30 seconds. But go ahead.
Cool. Um, so yeah, I want to just preface that we have a really good relationship, me and him. Like
Wow.
we are friends. Yeah. He sends me pics and videos of the dog every day. And I don't want to do him a disservice because he is a really good person and he just was not my person, you know? And yeah, I'm just gonna speak like really, really candid, I guess. So we started dating back in 2021, and no one knows this actually, but no, did we start? No, it was 2021. And later that year, my sister, we started hanging out in like June of 2021. Actually, no, it was the next September, September 22. I was working for this health and wellness company at the time, and I brought my sister out with me to a conference in San Diego. And she like basically had an intervention with me, and she was like, "You are not happy. Like I don't see this. This is this really like what you want?" And so
Like in
many
your
things.
relationship?
Yeah. And she was just like, "I feel like you're the worst version of yourself, like in this relationship." And I kind of like knew that my mom, she would never voice anything, but I just knew that she, I don't know, I knew that she maybe like had, I don't like reservations, but she just was kind of like, I don't know. My mom is very woo-woo. She's very like spiritual. She's just, and my ex just very different than that. So I knew like they weren't super aligned, but she never like voiced anything to me. I just had like a intuition feeling that she was maybe like, there's some question marks. Anyway, I really cared for him, and that was our first kind of big rift. I realized through my sister being like, "Hello, wake the fuck up," that a lot of my needs weren't being met. And that's, again, I'm not a great communicator. Like I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But we had this huge thing. I thought we like might be breaking up. That was in September 22. And then um we kind of there was a lot that I'll get into later that had happened in that first year of our relationship,
We got to talk
uh,
about it. So take your
that
time.
we're gonna talk about, that kind of laid this weird groundwork. But then again, I got into this relationship when I was coming off of COVID. Like I was not the best version of myself. I was such a different version of myself than I am today. And I think that that is people don't talk about that enough. Like when you start dating this person, like either you grow together or you grow apart. And I was this version of myself when I started dating him. I was meek, I was sad, I was not confident, blah, blah, blah. And then so I don't want to use the word like settled, but I made excuses and I just brushed things under the rug and I brushed things aside because like I this guy was really hot and he was, cool and he liked me and I liked him and we had fun together and we partied and yada yada yada. And it's also something not a lot of people talk about. Oh, it's post college. How the fuck are we meeting people at this age? Dating is hard at this age. And I think, unbeknownst to a lot of us, which I don't consider me being with him settling at the time, but I think a lot of us settle. We settle because things are hard. Dating is hard. And especially with the era of technology, everything we have today. I digress. But um, I a lot of stuff kind of came to a head in that first like fight, I guess, that first big confrontation that we had. And then even though that came to the surface, everything still, because I didn't learn the lesson, got brushed under the rug. And he was like, "Why don't we move away? Why don't we travel? Why don't we?" Remember, this is like September of 22. And we had scheduled to go to Montana and begin this like relationship of travel and like goodness and everything. And I told him like if things didn't change, I wasn't going to Montana.
So you did say it. You told him, okay.
Yes. And he really made some effort and like made some changes. And we ended up coming to Whitefish, Montana, which that is the universe saying, like, I'm so happy that we did because it's where I live now. I'm obsessed with it. Anyway, And we just we traveled a lot. We had a lot of fun. I think deep, deep, deep down, there was always, spurring from the beginning of our relationship that I will get into in a moment, there was always reservations that I had. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna marry him. Oh yeah, he's my person. Oh yeah. I didn't really feel that. I didn't really feel that, but I was telling myself that because I wanted it to be true. And I didn't want to date anymore. I didn't want to be single. I didn't want to be alone because I didn't love myself enough at the time to not be scared to be alone. And so I was holding on to something that wasn't right for me because I was too scared to just be with myself. And finally, we like we moved to Utah. I don't think I've told anyone else this either, but we had this whole thing where he bought a house and we got the dog, and there was something about getting the dog, who is I don't have anymore. He now has the dog. Just broke my heart. But it was like my body was screaming at me like, don't don't do this. Ignored it. Um and because my body knew, like, again, like your body always knows.
But there's
And
all the, oh, but I should be excited about this. Why wouldn't anyone else would be excited about this? Like if you look from an aerial view, this is the right thing to do.
mhm. We had this whole thing when we were picking out the dog. We called it Puppy Gate because, like, and I could just see now looking back, it was me subconsciously like trying to avoid getting the dog anyway, just because I knew something was off. And we moved to Utah. I can't get into details about the house that my ex had bought, but that didn't work out. We moved to Utah. I get to Utah thinking like, oh, it'll fix everything. I just like didn't want to be on the East Coast. I just didn't want to be in New Jersey. Every day in Utah, I sat in the Walmart parking lot 5 minutes from our house and I cried. I just cried in my car. Like
Mm.
I felt so lost. I felt disconnected from him. I felt disconnected from myself. I had no friends. I had no family. I had no yoga community. I was in a brand new place. And I just was like, well, fuck. Like, this sucks. Where are my bootstraps and how the fuck do I pick myself up from
That's
this?
literally, I call that phase in life the snow globe effect. It's like you were at the point where the snow globe had just been shaken so hard that you can't even see around you. Like there's no way to see, oh, what is this going to look like? Because every little bit snowflake is fluttering around, like not one groundedness thing anywhere, everywhere, anywhere. Oh,
I was so ungrounded. I was so disconnected from myself and like my purpose. I just woke up and I didn't even know what to do with my day. Like it was like that. Because I kind of just started my business, but then I moved to Utah, which kind of like threw everything off. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any network. I had no connections. Making it in a new place is really hard. Um, and my ex saw like I was not the same person. He was like, "What's going on with you?" And he knows how much I loved Whitefish, how much I like thrived there. So he suggested, how about we move to Whitefish for the summer? Sure. It made me really happy actually. We ended up finding a house, which is unheard of. So that's how I know the universe was like, yep, okay, we're gonna
mm.
open this up for you. And I came back and I can't even explain it. I was surrounded by my yoga studio and my friends and my community and this place that just felt like home. And as soon as I came into that, I can't explain it. Like it's an energy thing. If you're an energy person, you understand. If you don't, then you probably won't. My relationship started to like fall away. And like I realized like shit, like I just want to be like by myself. Because I started to find myself again and I finally started to like love myself, and like I was surrounded by support and by like love. And I was like, wow, like this relationship wasn't strong enough to kind of carry me through my darkest times. I've like felt so lonely and blah blah blah. And I realized that I was not in love with him anymore when I moved here. And I was only able to see that when I had 2 feet on the ground and I was starting to feel back in love with myself. I was able to like see everything clearly, because the most important relationship that you will ever have is the one with yourself.
Hmm.
And until I started to heal that, I couldn't see my other relationships like for what they were. And then I started to see that, and I misbehaved. We'll just say that. I
I'm
misbehaved.
sorry. Okay.
I
Okay.
misbehaved. Take that however you want to take it.
Sure.
I misbehaved. Um,
Was it a misbehaved moment or was it
it
full
was a
on?
repeated misbehavior.
Got it.
Well,
Got it. Got it. Got it.
um, but I also want to put this out there that people come into our lives sometimes not to stay for very long, but sometimes they come in as a catalyst that you need. They are presented to you at the time, people, situations, feelings to get you from A to B.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly like what happened to me. I had this kind of catalytic situation come in, and it proved to me what I was already feeling, and I was already like kind of doing on my own. I was going to through therapy about this, like all this stuff, but it was that nudge that was like, you need you need to be by yourself. And like that was the nudge that was gifted to me to for me to give me the oomph to finally move out and be on my own, even though it was scary as fucking hell. I had no money. He paid for everything. He was paying our rent, our 5,000 or 4,000, whatever the fuck it was. In Whitefish, it's so expensive to not only find housing in the summer, but to like afford to live in Whitefish. It's very expensive. He was paying all of our bills so that I could focus on my business. He paid for the dog. He paid for everything. I was so scared. I was so scared. I was so terrified, but every single fiber in my being was like, you need to go. We're going to support you. Go and find a fucking apartment and move out and start this new chapter of your life. It's going to be really hard, and you're going to lose yourself a little bit, and you're going to feel like you got curb stomped, cunt punted across the field, and then curb stomped again, because I did.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the right thing to do. And like, you can't get flowers without any rain.
Some people are just fun to interview, and Brittany Carden is entertaining, she is wise, and she's really gone through it. I love her story, and this is just part one. We are going to come back next week with the part two, which is not only going to finish wrapping up her story of her love life, but it's also going to tap more into entrepreneurship. It's going to talk about why beat-based fitness is the best way to go and why you get the best results from beat-based fitness. We are also going to be talking about conspiracy theories. We are going to be talking about different brands, supplements, day-to-day foods, lifestyle adjustments that we can make and that she made within her own personal life to achieve not only the body that she has always desired and felt best in, but also the mindset, the strength, and overall having the best time of her life. I know you loved this episode with Brittany Carden, and so we are going to bring her back obviously for part two, but in the meantime, you can always follow her on Instagram at Brittany Carden, and I'll put her in the show notes. We have more information on Brittany and a little bit more of a bio so that you can see all about beat-based fitness. You can check out her virtual studio that we're going to talk about on next week's episode. But thank you so much for listening. Make sure you are following along. You can follow on Apple Podcasts, and make sure you leave us 5 stars and a review if you loved it. And if you didn't love it, just leave us 5 stars anyways. You can also follow along and subscribe on Spotify, wherever you are listening to podcasts. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you next Thursday for part 2.